To understand the Bank of England's true role, we have to go back to the very beginning, its founding in 1694. England was embroiled in a costly war with France, and King William III was running out of money. The government needed funds quickly, but there was a problem. The royal treasury was nearly empty, and traditional lenders were reluctant to finance a war that seemed like a losing battle. Enter William Paterson, a Scottish financier, who proposed an idea that would change the course of British financial history forever. Paterson's idea was to create a central bank that would lend money to the government in exchange for a monopoly on issuing banknotes. The public was invited to invest, and in return the bank would provide the funds needed to finance the war. This was the beginning of a system that allowed the government to borrow money whenever it needed, but it also marked the start of a complex relationship between the bank, the government, and the British economy. The early years of the Bank of England were marked by its growing influence over the country's financial system. It became the government's banker, managing the national debt and issuing paper money that was backed by the promise of future taxes. Over time, the bank's power increased, and so did its control over the economy. But with power came opportunities for manipulation. One of the key moments in the bank's early history was the South Sea Bubble of 1720, a speculative financial scheme that ended in disaster. The Bank of England, along with the South Sea Company, had become involved in a massive financial bubble where speculation ran rampant and stock prices soared to ridiculous heights. When the bubble burst, thousands of investors were ruined. Although the bank managed to survive, the incident revealed the dangers of speculation and the potential for manipulation within the financial system. As the bank continued to evolve, it became more than just a lender to the government. It grew into a powerful institution with the ability to influence interest rates, manage the national debt, and regulate the money supply. In 1844, the Bank Charter Act was passed, giving the Bank of England a legal monopoly on issuing banknotes and solidifying its role as the central bank of the United Kingdom. This act also imposed strict controls on the amount of money the bank could issue, tying it to the country's gold reserves and establishing the foundation for the gold standard. But with this power came increased scrutiny, as the public began to realize the immense influence the bank had over their lives. One of the most significant scandals in the bank's history came during the early 20th century, as the world faced the aftermath of World War I. The war had devastated economies across Europe, and Britain was no exception. The country was heavily in debt, and the government turned once again to the Bank of England for support. But this time, the situation was far more precarious. In the years following the war, the Bank of England played a crucial role in returning Britain to the gold standard, a policy that many now view as a colossal mistake. The gold standard, which tied the value of a country's currency to its gold reserves, was seen as a way to restore stability to the international monetary system. But the decision to return to the gold standard at pre-war parity severely overvalued the British pound and crippled the British economy. At the center of this decision was Montague Norman, the governor of the Bank of England from 1920 to 1944. Norman was a secretive and enigmatic figure, often referred to as the dictator of Threadneedle Street for his powerful and unyielding control over the bank. He firmly believed that returning to the gold standard was essential for Britain's economic recovery, despite warnings from economists and policymakers that it would lead to disaster. The return to the gold standard in 1925 did indeed lead to economic collapse. British exports became far too expensive for foreign buyers, unemployment soared, and the country was plunged into a deep recession. Norman's stubborn commitment to the gold standard, despite overwhelming evidence that it was harming the economy, is now seen as one of the greatest financial blunders in British history. It also raised questions about the unchecked power of the Bank of England and its ability to make decisions that had devastating consequences for the wider economy. The collapse of the British economy in the wake of the gold standard scandal damaged the reputation of the Bank of England. The public began to lose trust in the institution, and questions arose about its role in managing the economy. Could the bank really be trusted to act in the best interest of the country, or was it more concerned with protecting the interests of the financial elite? In the years that followed, the bank took steps to rebuild its credibility. It was forced to abandon the gold standard in 1931, a decision that ultimately helped stabilize the British economy. However, the damage had been done, and the public's perception of the bank as an all-powerful institution capable of manipulating the economy for its own ends lingered. World War II brought new challenges for the Bank of England, as it once again found itself at the center of efforts to finance a war. This time, the bank played a crucial role in managing Britain's wartime economy, overseeing the issuance of war bonds and coordinating with the Treasury to ensure the country had the funds it needed to fight the war. After the war, the bank was nationalized in 1946, bringing it under the direct control of the British government. In 1997, it was granted operational independence from the government, giving it full control over setting interest rates and managing inflation. This move was hailed as a step towards greater transparency and efficiency, but it also raised new questions about the bank's accountability and its role in shaping economic policy. From its founding as a way to finance war, to its role in managing the British economy, the bank has always wielded immense influence over the country's financial system. But that influence has not always been used wisely. The bank's decision to return to the gold standard in the 1920s led to economic disaster, and its involvement in speculative bubbles like the South Sea bubble revealed the dangers of unchecked power. Today, the Bank of England continues to be a central player in the global financial system. Its policies shape not just the British economy, but influence markets and economies around the world. And while the bank may no longer be shrouded in the same level of secrecy as in the past, its history reminds us that power, especially financial power, is rarely straightforward. What do you think about the history of the Bank of England? And if you're interested in learning more about how financial systems have evolved, be sure to check out our next video on the gold standard. Thanks for watching.